In today's episode, I'm going to share with you five proactive steps that you can take even as you're trying to get a diagnosis. And even if you already have a diagnosis, this episode will be very helpful in terms of how you can advocate for your own health and navigate the medical system. That's all coming up next, right here on Embrace Your Healing Journey. In each episode, I share stories, poems, quotes that may help you to draw strength from and motivate you on your healing journey. And for today's episode, I want to read out from this chapter from one of my favorite books called Kitchen Table Wisdom. This book can help you actually think beyond labeling, getting yourself a diagnosis. It has a beautiful and inspiring story of a farmer with a cancer diagnosis that will encourage you to look at your condition a bit differently. This book is called Kitchen Table Wisdom and it's written by Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen. She says, a label is a mask life wears. We put labels on life all the time: right, wrong, success, failure, lucky, unlucky, maybe as limiting a way of seeing things as diabetic, epileptic, manic depressive, or even invalid. Labeling sets up an expectation of life that is often so compelling that we can no longer see things as they really are. This expectation often gives us a false sense of familiarity towards something that is really new and unprecedented. We are in relationship with our expectations and not with life itself, which brings up the idea that we may become as wounded by the way in which we see an illness as by the illness itself. Belief traps us or frees us, and labels may become self fulfilling prophecies. Studies of voodoo death suggest that in certain circumstances, belief may even kill. We may need to take our labels and even our experts far more lightly. Some years ago, I served on the dissertation committee of a woman in the Midwest who was studying spontaneous remissions of cancer. Among the people who answered her ad in the paper asking for people who thought they may have had an unusual experience of healing was a farmer who had done exceptionally well despite a dire prognosis. On the phone one evening, she told me about him. She felt his outcome was related to his attitude. He didn't take it on, she said. Confused, I asked her if he had denied that he had cancer. No, she said, he had not. He had just taken the same attitude towards his physician's prognosis that he took towards the words of the government soil experts who analyzed his fields. As they were educated men, he respected them and listened carefully as they showed him the findings of their tests and told him that the corn would not grow in his field. He valued their opinions. But as he told my student, a lot of the time the corn grows anyway. In my experience, Dr. Rachel says, a diagnosis is an opinion and not a prediction. What would it be like if more people allowed for the presence of the unknown and accepted the words of their medical experts in this same way? The diagnosis is cancer. What will remain remains to be seen. What will mean remains to be seen. Like a diagnosis, a label is an attempt to assert control and manage uncertainty. It may allow us the security and comfort of a mental closure and encourage us not to think about things again. But life never comes to a closure. Life is process, even mystery. Life is known only by those who have found a way to be comfortable with change and the unknown. Given the nature of life, there may be no security, but only adventure. What a beautiful way of looking at life, of looking at labels such as your diagnosis, because this book really encourages you to look at your life and your diagnosis very differently, going beyond the scope of the conventional approach of waiting for a diagnosis, getting certain tests done and then figuring out what you have. Of course that is important, but that is not enough to live and a better quality of life, of living a long, healthy and fulfilling life. Because no matter what you're going through, this should offer you some hope that there is always a way to deal with the uncertainty and the unknown. And one of the beautiful ways of doing that is to treat life as an adventure, because there is no guarantee anyway for any of us. So, if you're dealing with an autoimmune condition, from debilitating fatigue to doctors who don't listen, you're not alone in facing these six common struggles. So I want you to discover how to advocate for yourself, find the right treatment, and lean on the support of others who understand what you're going through as you're going through and navigating this journey. Because you may be dealing with all kinds of issues, of course, but these are the most common ones that people face when they are trying to get a diagnosis, or they just got a diagnosis but they don't know what to do next. One is fatigue and lack of energy. This might be that you're trying to function and do what you need to do each day just to do your daily chores, right? But a lack of energy makes it so difficult to carry on your day to day tasks. Number two is chronic pain. It's a debilitating aspect of autoimmune conditions and even other chronic conditions. It means that finding effective ways to manage your pain is a constant battle, and you may already be on 8 different drugs but nothing really helps. Then, number three is doctors not listening or dismissing your concerns. It's disheartening when medical professionals brush off your symptoms or fail to take your concerns seriously, and you end up feeling unheard and unsupported. This is more common than you would think. Number four is finding the right treatment, whether it's a biologic drug that works without causing severe effects, or just, trying out different medications which lose effectiveness over time. The process of finding the right treatment, the right medication can be a long and tiring journey. Number five is mental health struggles, because just the physical challenges of living with a chronic condition such as an autoimmune disease can take a toll on your mental health, leading to depression, anxiety, a sense of isolation. So all these are very, very common struggles. And the last one, actually, again, which is extremely common, is a lack of understanding from others, because even your family members and friends who are your well wishers may not be able to fully grasp the severity of your condition, especially in the case of autoimmune conditions, which we call is an invisible illness, because it doesn't always show up on the surface, and this can lead to an added stress and feelings of being a burden. So here's what I want you to remember: you're not alone in facing these challenges. By taking the 6 proactive steps that I'm going to share with you, you can begin to navigate these obstacles and find the support you need to manage your autoimmune condition more effectively. Unfortunately, for most people, they don't get the guidance and support that they need. They don't get the support, they don't get the guidance that would help them to address the true root causes of their chronic condition. And even if they do, most recommendations are not personalized enough. That means that the supplements that you have been asked to take, the form of magnesium that you've been asked to take, may not be what is your body actually needs. The dosage may not be enough. It can be as specific as that. Even the foods that you're consuming, maybe right now raw foods are not your friend because your body is not able to digest it. Maybe cooked foods, soups are something that your body needs. So it has to be personalized, because otherwise either the improvements, health improvements, are limited, or they are very short term. And the entire focus usually is on managing the symptoms and getting a diagnosis, and simply getting a label or a name really doesn't tell us anything about the nature or the cause of the disease. This is something that we talk about in functional medicine all the time. It is not enough to know what you have. It is even more important to know, understand why you have this disease, right? So in fact, you may have even tried many different approaches with limited success. So this would include that you've tried taking different multiple medications, and you've tried various prescription and over the counter drugs, only to find that again, either your symptoms don't improve or they come with unbearable side effects. A lot of people actually face this, and then they go from one medication and another, hoping to find that one particular drug which may be like a miracle cure. And of course that doesn't exist in chronic conditions. Visiting different doctors and of course consulting specialists is important, but going on from one specialist to another, healthcare providers, sometimes they may not always listen or understand the complexity of a condition, and that leaves you feeling lost and unsupported. Alternative therapies are again can be very helpful, so whether it's acupuncture, dietary changes, supplements, which I just mentioned, but unless they are very, very specific to your condition, you may not be able to find the results or the relief that you were hoping for. Even lifestyle changes is something, as a health coach, that I work very closely with my clients, whether it's the mindset, the stress management, the products that they use, the sleep, the eating hygiene, so many things that I call, which makes up their healing environment, which is so important in the case of a chronic condition where you're trying to support your body's ability to heal. But again, this has to be made as specific as possible. They have to be personalized, and you may not be seeing sustainable improvements otherwise. And even support groups can be important, but having the right kind of support group is important, because they can of course offer emotional support, and that's something which is actually necessity, and of course it is. But you also need the practical and individualized strategies, so that you can manage your condition more effectively, right? So these are, despite all of these things that I just mentioned, if the root causes of your symptoms are not adequately addressed, if you're not able to figure out what the triggers are, and remove the triggers, focus and prioritize what your body needs at this time, you may not see the outcomes that you were hoping for. So, what you actually need to do is take these proactive steps to take charge of your own health journey, right? And this is something that I urge you to do, immediately. Some of these things are quite simple, but they not be easy. But I want you to get started right today. So, number one, become an informed advocate of your own health. You are the best judge. You are the expert of your own body, of your own health, and of your own healing journey. So understanding how autoimmune conditions work and their symptoms is crucial. Knowledge is power. So arm yourself with the right kind of information from the credible sources, because that's what will empower you and give you confidence. And keeping a comprehensive record of your symptoms, triggers, and medical history will help you and your doctors to see any underlying patterns, right? So it'll help you them to support you in the medical treatment. And speaking up about your concerns and asking questions, you need to be able to communicate that effectively with your healthcare providers, whether you're working with a conventional medicine doctor, whether you're working with a functional medicine practitioner or a health coach. Ask questions. Keep, when you are before you go for your appointments, keep those questions ready, so that you can get the best healthcare service that is possible. Number two, build a strong support system. So, acknowledging the challenges, that means that recognize that seeking a diagnosis and managing a chronic condition such as autoimmune disease is tough. So, accepting this reality is often the first step. A lot of us live in denial. We don't really want to accept that we have this kind of a situation, and we tend to just sort of sweep it under the carpet. That's not going to be the best strategy for you. So, first step is to accept what is going on in your life, and then I want you to find ways to surround yourself with people who actually support you and who understand what you're going through. It may be your friends and family. You may have to seek out outside support. There are so many online forums who can give you the emotional support that you require. They may not be able to provide the practical and the personalized strategy that you need, but at least on the emotional part of it, you will like you'll not you'll feel less alone, right? And listening to or reading stories from others going through similar struggles also really helps. In fact, when I was doing my research many years ago, actually about 10 years ago, this year, when I was trying to figure out what would help my daughter's health issues, and I've shared our story in episode 1 of this podcast. I remember that I was trying to figure out, and I came across 3 functional medicine practitioners whose own stories actually motivated me to dig deeper into what functional medicine could probably possibly provide us. And there's listening to their stories, reading their books, really helped me to understand that this approach could also help my daughter, right? So these are the things that you need to do. And with an internet connection, you can actually read these kind of books. So for me, Dr. Mark Hyman's story, Dr. Amy Meyer's story, Dr. Teddy Wall's story was the first, the starting point of our journey, where I could actually figure out how and what would help my daughter. Number three is seek out the right medical professional. So finding specialists in the conventional medicine space, as well as finding a functional medicine practitioner like a health coach, is vital, because you need obviously the medical professional to give you the right kind of treatment, to give you the diagnosis that you need to understand what's really going on. At the same time, it is also important to work with a functional medicine practitioner or a health coach like myself, who can actually help you address the root causes. And a lot of times this has to be simultaneously. This is something that I learned while dealing with my daughter's health issues. The same thing that many of my clients do while they're working with a with their healthcare provider, a medical professional. They also work with me. So I have worked with a client in the recent past called Naila, who was working with about six medical professionals for her various health issues, disease conditions. But at the same time, she was also working with me because none of her doctors were actually working at a kind of a root cause level, or looking at the mental and emotional part of her well-being as well, right? So focusing on the root causes, addressing the stress part of it, motivation part of it, lifestyle changes, those were the things that her doctors were not focusing on, the diet part of it. And that's what we were doing together. So in spite of having six other specialists to work with, she was also working with me at the same time. So do your own research, and if you need to, I don't hesitate to change your doctor if they don't take you seriously. It happens more often than you think, especially for women who are often dismissed with anxiety or psychological issues, even if they actually have physiological reasons for why they have certain symptoms, especially in the case of autoimmune conditions, where these symptoms are so varied. These symptoms actually can change from an hour to the next hour, and they certainly change from day to day. A lot of women actually get dismissed. They are not taken seriously. They are told that it's all in their head, for 10 years, 20 years, while they're trying to figure out what they have and seek a diagnosis. Those are the worst case scenarios, of course, but it happens. So if they are not taking you seriously, then do your research, and don't hesitate to change your doctor, and be persistent. Persistence is the key to finding the right healthcare providers. Like, so if you don't find, then make sure that you try and approach another healthcare provider. Number four is prepare for appointments and advocate for the necessary tests. So before your appointments, prepare yourself by bringing detailed symptoms, list of questions. So sit down. That's what I used to do. I had questions when I was working with my daughter's healthcare providers. I used to ask them questions as to what moisturizers would suit her skin, her dry skin, why were we giving that medication, what were the side effects. Rather than going to Google and doing a search and scaring myself to death, I chose to focus on doctors, or ask doctors whom I trusted to give me the right answers, right? So these were the ways I used to sort of prepare myself. And communicating clearly, that means that making sure that you explain your symptoms and concern, it is vital for receiving appropriate health care. So that is another thing that I used to practice a lot. So I used to, whether it's through email or WhatsApp, whatever ways that you can approach your medical healthcare provider, make sure that you're doing that, you're asking your questions. And of course, push for the necessary tests and screenings based on your symptoms and medical history. You know your body the best, right? You may need to ask for certain tests that they are not doing, and you may need to go to another healthcare provider to do that. So many people have actually either got a diagnosis or found a way to get better only because they advocated for themselves. They asked for a test that their doctor did not think of doing, right? You're not telling that your doctor to do their job, but sometimes you need to stand up for yourself. Especially if you're not really getting any answers or seeing any results. And I remember insisting on an allergy test, for my daughter, even though that is not something that is usually, done all the time. And we did a skin prick test, and while that was not the solution I was hoping for, it did give me an insight into exactly how dysregulated her immune system was at that time. So later on, it did help me when I chose the path of functional medicine, when I chose the path of, addressing gut health as a way to deal with her eczema. So it helped me in a different way. So a lot of these things will then help you too. Number five is prioritize self-care and stress management. So manage your stress levels, because stress can aggravate your symptoms, whether it's your autoimmune condition symptom, whether any other conditions that you have. Managing your stress is crucial. And I want you to check out episode 22, which is keep it simple, small shifts for the chronically ill, and episode 14, three essential practices to build your coping toolkit amid fluctuating health, for practical tips. I'll share the episode links in the show notes below. And self care is essential. Apart from this, prioritizing activities that promote your physical and emotional well being is so important. While you may be doing everything else, if you're not able to do this, you will most likely not see sustainable health improvements, because this can significantly impact the management of your autoimmune or any other condition on a day to day basis. So don't miss episode 17, four actionable strategies to manage autoimmune challenges fearlessly. So, taking all these proactive steps will empower you to take control of your journey and find the support and treatment that you need to thrive. So here are the five proactive steps once again. Number one, become an informed advocate for your own health. Number two, build a strong support system. Number three, seek out the right medical professionals. Number four, prepare for appointments and advocate for necessary tests. And number five, prioritize self care and stress management. And I want you to also understand why is it important to take this kind of an approach, because by being proactive you can take control of your health journey rather than feeling at the mercy of your condition. So many of us end up feeling helpless and disempowered and feel that we have no no, either no role to play, or there's nothing that we can really do to get better. Because and that is not something that I want for you, because there's so many things that actually is in your power. So a strong support network can offer the emotional and practical help you need to deal with the isolation. So by being proactive, that is what you are doing. You're taking control in different ways. Finding the right medical professionals and being persistent means that you receive the most accurate diagnosis and hopefully the most effective treatment, whether it's when you are dealing with a conventional medicine practitioner or a functional medicine practitioner. Preparing for your doctor's appointments and advocating for certain tests if required can lead to better results, right? And finally, prioritizing self-care and stress management can help you to deal with the challenges of living with a chronic condition, and that can actually help you to improve the overall quality of your life. So if you have any questions, you can connect with me on Instagram at the rate Anindita Rungta. Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode of Embrace Your Healing Journey. If you want to take the next step in discovering your own power to heal by figuring out what needs to be done so that you can find lasting relief from your symptoms without medications, sign up to download the free ebook, The Autoimmune Symptoms Relief Guide. You can head to aninditarungta.com symptom / symptom relief. That's ANINDITARUNGTA.com / symptom relief. I will also be sharing the link in the show notes below. I also just opened up 10 spots for a free call with me over the next 2 weeks. There are a few spots, a couple of spots that have become available for coaching inside my 6 month signature coaching program, Healing from Within. So, if you would like to get a clear roadmap for your journey and know what your next steps should be, then you can schedule a free 45 minutes discovery call with me. Head to aninditarungta.com / call to grab one of those spots. In the next episode, I will talk about how working with a health coach can help you navigate the day to day challenges of living with a chronic illness. This is quite a powerful and important episode, and I don't want you to miss it. Your body knows how to heal. Are you ready to support it?